Hi everyone, I'm Marissa with Enchanted Ramblings, and this is my 2022 planner lineup. Now, I know what you're thinking, Marissa, this is absolutely insane. How many planners do you have? 13 for this coming year. And I will tell you why. Because my brain does not do well when everything is kind of put together in one spot. I like to have some things all in one place, but others need to be kind of compartmentalized differently. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the lineup. I'm not going to do flip throughs for everything because that would take forever because there's 13 of them. But if you want to see a flip through of a specific one, I'm going to be doing a whole series on how I use each planner kind of in depth, and then also how each planner kind of interacts with every other one in my planning system series. So the first one on the list is my know-it-all planner. This is an Erin Condren monthly planner. It's from the Star Wars line. I love this quote. I quote this at work all the time. I tell people there is no try. You're either going to do it or you're not, but you know, and it's just lovely. It has the mid-century circles, interior, and like I said, this is the monthly one. So let me find a month that hasn't already been filled in. One of my favorite months. So it's just got the monthly layout and then kind of like a notes page and a little dashboard and then some lined pages after that. And then it just goes straight into the next month. And then what I've done is I've added extra note pages at the back, like a whole mess of them, as many as I could fit, because this is the master calendar. So everything from my class schedule to birthdays to launch release dates to pre-orders for books that are coming out this year that I've already pre-ordered and I'm just waiting for them to come in, like those kinds of things. So all of that lives in here. If it has a date associated with it, it goes in here. And then some of this information gets translated over into my Google Calendar so that my husband and my daughter know, like when I've got time blocks that I'm unavailable while I'm in class and stuff like that. But this is the know-all, end-all, be-all of my calendars. And this doesn't really leave my home office. Like this has a spot on the shelf where it lives right next to me at my desk. And this is what I reach for when we do our big planning calls and when we have, you know, classes and courses and products and things that we want to launch. Like this is where all of that information starts and ends. And so I needed something that was going to hold up. And I love this cover. I mean, the Erin Condren products are always really high quality anyway, but this is like a vegan leather. It's really a very pretty kind of, not really brownish gray, but it is kind of like a taupe kind of gray, and it's lovely and super minimalist, but it's also fairly chunky, and I know it'll hold up because I've used their projects before. The next one that's kind of like the ultimate reference guide to things is my family planner. And so last year we did all of our family planning in an A5 rings binder, and that worked out really well. But this year in October into November, when I would normally be going through and printing and cutting and prepping and putting all that stuff together for the new year, we moved house. So I didn't want to take the time to do that. I didn't have the time to do it. I am still unpacking things months later, and it's just going to be easier to go with a pre-printed planner. Now I do have some inserts that I've either purchased or I have made myself that fit in this mini happy planner. This is the villain set. I loved the colors. I love the messaging, and Maleficent is amazing. So of course, when I saw this one come out, and to boot, it's the dashboard layout, which is perfect because this calendar is mostly a reference for things like if I know I'm scheduling like a doctor's appointment like 6 months out, then I'll just flip to that part of the calendar, stick it in there real quick. And that way, when we sit down every week to kind of do our meal plan and figure out what we are doing for the week as a family, we kind of have a quick reference guide of things that are coming up. But I love the dashboard layout, and here's why. These pages are so minimal. And there isn't a whole lot to fill in because I don't really need a whole lot of space in this. So, you know, like if there are specific errands that we need to run, like if we need to go to the DMV or drop off whatever, or pick up something for the dogs, that kind of stuff, you know, bills that are coming up, I'll go through and date this planner beforehand because it is an undated planner, but I'll date the first 3 to 4 months ahead of time. And then just start kind of filling in some of the blanks along the way. I always put our meal plan up in this little box here on the weekly side. I'm trying to get the light right so you can see it without it reflecting. On the weekly side, and then we have 7 little boxes here. And sometimes I use it for things like if we know that there's a field trip or we've got some kind of specific thing for a lesson plan coming up, or if there's like a holiday, something like that, that we might want to really focus on more. I'll mark it on this calendar as well. And then it just kind of becomes like a family reference guide. The other thing I will do is I will take this setup, take the last probably 4 to 6 months out of the back, put them on extra rings and just stick them on the shelf until I need them. Because these little rings are not going to be big enough. I have these replacement ones and I have lots and lots of Happy Planner rings, but these ones I bought from a shop on Etsy. Rock Deadly, I think is what it is, but I will link her shop below. I don't think she has these anymore, but they have these cute little coffin cutouts. And when I told Alina to come in and pick rings or discs to replace the little teensy ones, these are the ones that she picked. And I feel like coffins on the villain's notebook is perfect for that. So they are the standard size, which should be more than enough space for what we need. And I have extra tabs and note pages and things like that. And like I said, I have some extra inserts that will go in here with things like the address book. You know, we do still mail things, so sometimes I need to look up like a grandparent's address and things like that. If we have, you know, I have a whole section of pet information. And now that we've got the house, I also have a whole section for home maintenance and management. So things like the model numbers of all the appliances when they were installed, like copies of anything that we might need. For like warranties and manuals are all digital, but if I'm making a phone call because the furnace went out or whatever, knock on wood's not happened, but if I had to, then I could rattle it off real quick because it'll be in the back of the book. And that was really helpful last year when we started moving things to the new house, because it made it very easy for me to go, oh, we've pulled this out, and while it's out, I'm going to take pictures of it real quick and document what kind of it is, you know, like what washer and dryer I have, right? Those kinds of things. It just makes it easy to help, like, have reference material on hand for that. The other one that doesn't really leave the house, this is a Moterm cover. I love it. It's beautiful. I will do a full workup of like all of my planner covers that I've fallen in love with over the last several years, because some of them have really held up. This one is new for the year, but I have several of them now because they're lovely and they have really nice products. And this is the A5 Plus, which means it can hold 2 A5 notebooks in here really easily. If you had a wider one, it could fit that as well, because it has the 2 snap strap. There we go. If you have a larger one, you can move it out a snap and it gives you some more space here to have things open. Anyway, the planners inside of it are really what we're here for. So this is a Wonderland 222. This is the A5 size in their yearly planner. It is Tomoe River paper. It is very slim. I like it. I'm going to cut these off. I realized very quickly that I don't actually use them and they just kind of get in the way. And if I needed a bookmark, the Moterm has them in there. But really what ends up happening is I use an ollie clip or a paper clip or something just to mark the place for him at. So this planner is really designed to maximize your functionality, and I love it. And it's super light grid lines, which I know some people are going to have an issue with just because it is really, really light. But I liked the structure. I liked the layout. I like the fact that the weeks are kind of vertical with still being kind of lined a little bit. So I could use them either to plan out the week or as a task list for each day. And then it's got these really nice like review and overview pages for the month between the months, and then a really good sized grid for the monthly views. And then a whole bunch of note pages at the back, which is really important to me because I take notes on everything. But this is my HB90 planner. I follow Sarah Cannon's HB90 method for planning and goal setting, and I really, really love her structure. It makes sense for my brain, and I've used it for almost a year now. So this is the first year that I've got a specific purpose for a planner like this, and it's kind of fit itself really nicely into my workflow. But yeah, so that one is for my HB90 goal setting and planning and things like that. And then this one is a Hobonichi Techo Day Free, which is the monthly one. Here we go. Just monthly view at the front, and then nothing but note pages at the back. And this one I'm using for our podcast scheduling and notes. So things like if we have a Goddess Book Chat, which that's why I put this on here. If we have a Goddess Book Chat podcast and we're talking about, like, one of the things we always ask is the stacks and snacks, like what are you reading, what are you eating, that kind of stuff. And so I like to take notes of all of my book stacks, and usually what happens is Kimberly and I get on a roll, and then we're like, oh, and then there's this book, and then there's that book. And so I like to write them all down, because then I have them all together and I can reference back to them for when we're putting our show notes together. And I really love this cover. It sits really nicely on the stand with the rest of them. And like I said, it is the A5 Plus. So as these get a little chunkier, because I'm writing in them and filling them in a little bit more, there is room to grow. I'm also using a Hobonichi Day Free for real estate stuff over the course of the year. So one of the things that we're doing with the team this year is a whole new training and development program. So I'm keeping track of all of that. You know, tracking dates and deadlines and things like that happens in my project management system. But then I also have like a list of all the trainings that we've had requested and things like that, where meeting notes, stuff that I need to keep reference for over the course of the year, as opposed to just quick jaunts of information. So this actually goes in a cover with my everyday carry, which we will go into next. So what I decided in September of 2021 was that I really liked bullet journaling again. And my husband was delighted, because I have a lot of Archer and Olive bullet journals. I have quite a few, actually, and I keep getting more. It's kind of this crazy cycle where I find the new ones and they're pretty, and so that I have to buy them, and then they sit on the shelf for a couple of years. But this year I have really committed to using this system and using it well. So this one is the one I picked for my January. I haven't finished setting it all up yet. You can see that it's got the gilded edges. It's one of their winter release ones. So this is Cozy, I think it's Cozy Tea is the name of it. It's got these little snowflakes, and it's just felt really cute. And it's got this shimmery kind of creamy white cover. So my everyday carry is basically a daily notebook. It has everything from my social media tasks to my home tasks to my work tasks, everything that's like task management, everything that's kind of like, this has to happen today kind of stuff. I also use it a little bit for tracking and for keeping tabs on certain things over the course of the month, but this is a one book a month kind of situation. So this book, maybe 5 or 6 pages at the end, will be blank by the end of the month, and it will definitely bulk up a little bit here just because I put a lot of washi and stickers into them. And then when it's done, I write the date of when it was, you know, started and ended kind of thing, and then I slide it on the shelf. And I have several of these, and they're beautiful and I love them. And this is a really good way for me to use through some of my stash. That being said, I have 8 out of 12 already designated for the year. And I kind of gave myself some grace on that, because I figured there's going to be ones that come out this year that I'm going to want to buy. And so then I can kind of give myself a little bit of room and be like, okay, well, that one could slot into August or May or whatever I have an opening for a book. And those usually sit in an A5 cover, and those go with me everywhere. That's my everyday carry. Let's see. Okay, so then in conjunction with the HB90 planner in the Wonderland, I also do time tracking and time blocking. And I love the Passion Planner for this. I can use my mild liners. I can play with pens, and it doesn't get like, the paper is thick enough where it's not going to be super messy and bleed through to the other side. Like you can see here, there's nothing there, but then you flip the page and there's all kinds of color, right? This was my example. But I really like the Passion Planner. This was the first planner company that I turned to when I came back into the paper planning scene in 2017. They have an excellent company. Their products are amazing. And I have been getting a lot of tiger correspondences and synchronicities. So of course, the year of the tiger one came out and I had to have it. So this is basically my time blocking planner, and it kind of sits on my desk at home more than it does go back and forth with me to work. But because I got the small size and it's roughly an A5, it would also fit with my everyday carry if I just wanted to like drop it into my work bag with me and take it with me. They're all kind of similarly sized so that they sit nicely together. This is the B6 setup. So I bought this cover, well, Colin bought me this cover for my birthday this last year. It's from Planners Anonymous. It has so much expandability, like expandability. It can get big. That's what I'm trying to say. The strap itself is attached to like a elastic inside the cover. You can see it stretches really wide, which means this thing can get pretty darn chunky without it being an issue. Also, it's gorgeous. So, you know, had to have it. This is a journal that I'm using for my manifestation scripting. So we're going to skip that, but I will go through all of that in my notebooks and journals for the year video. The other two that live in here are the Annie Plans and Aura Estelle collab in B6. These are Tomoe River paper. They are undated. I got the classic, weekly classic and the daily classic. The weekly one is going to be my social media tracking and planning. So I measured out the little squares here on the monthlies, and I can put my Instagram posts on those for every month. And then it has this really great weekly layout where it's basically two days on a page, and I can make notes, put, you know, whatever it is, my editorial schedule goes into this one. And I have not put it in a sleeve yet. I haven't decided if I'm just going to cover it over or if I'm going to keep it this black cover. I kind of like the black. It's a little classy, you know. This one, I've already started using it because they are undated. So I just kind of jumped in on this one to see if I liked it. This is the daily. This is the plastic cover from Print Pressions. It fits over their B6 hardcovers. So you can see there's quite a bit of space here, but it doesn't bother me. It usually sits in the cover anyway. So this one is same kind of concept. It's got your monthly grids, and then it has this daily layout where this is like, you could make this a week, you could make this a day, you know, however you wanted to use it. I'm mostly using this for call notes for classes and things like that. So stuff that happens on specific days, I put that information into here, and then it lives with my social media calendar here. And it's all the same size as my Priestess notebook, which is a little more like long-term information. And that's going to be in my reference notebooks video. But I liked the fact that they all kind of fit together nicely, and they sit on my shelf really pretty. And yeah, I mean, you just can't go wrong with something basic like that. And it's really super adjustable to my needs. Okay. Then we go into A6s. See how I'm working my way down through all the sizes. So this is a cover from Salty Katie. Again, I'll go through and do a whole workup on all of my notebook covers. These are a couple other notebooks that I'm using for certain things. not planner related. So I consider a planner anything that has a date associated with it, right? So like this is the Wonderland 222 in the A6 size. Grab the other one here. I loved this green color, so beautiful. So good, I had to buy it twice. So you can see this is the A5, this is the A6. It's so tiny and cute in comparison. I mean, the thing is that an A6 is literally half the size of an A5, right? So if you have an, so anyway, the A6 Wonderland is my personal health and fitness tracking. So I've already started making notes in here about some of my supplements, some of my daily routines, things like that. I'm trying to find a day. Same basic layout. It's got the weeklies, it's got the habit trackers, it's got note pages at the back. So I'm using this to keep track of my personal wellness. So physical fitness, I'm in the midst of dealing with some PCOS issues and some weight loss and things like that. And then I really, really need to get back into my routine of doing yoga and working out and like getting my body back into a good place. So this is a little guy. It's so cute. It's adorable. It fits really nicely in this cover with my other notebooks. And this one is one that I keep at my bedside. So the fact that it fits really nicely with like my reading journal, sneak peek, works out really well for me because these just live in my nightstand or on my nightstand really. And I can use them, get at them very easily. The other A6 in my lineup this year, in this absolutely stunning leather cover from Leather Quill, the dragon hide leather, like, oof, love it. I would own everything in this if I could. This is my divination tracker. So I also got an A6 day free. It hasn't been written all over yet. Okay, so it gives you like the months in little teeny tiny format. And what I've been doing is I just mark down the card that I pull for that day. If there's a specific, like if there's a new moon or a full moon, like I'll mark reading here, and then I give it a page number. And then I flip back to that page number wherever the reading is, and that's where my notes are. So it kind of gives me a little bit of a reference tool to see like over the course of the year, how am I doing with my divination? Are there things that I want to really like explore more? The other benefit to it is it gives me an option to see all of the cards for the month at a glance. So I can kind of look at it and go, oh, well, I drew this card 6 times and that card 3 times over the course of the month. What is that message telling me? That kind of thing. And then I typically use 1 or 2 decks every month. So I mark down what they are here so that I have an abbreviation when I'm doing my flip through later on. And this is just kind of a really fun thing. Something else that Sarah Cannon does that she mentioned at one point, she uses a Hobonichi cousin for it. It's a much larger setup, but she just marks down the card that she pulls every day on the actual like overview as well. So you could see for the whole year, which is fun. And then this is just a little notebook that I tucked into the front where I can keep track of all the extra decks and things that I want to buy. So those are my A6 planners. And then I have a Hobonichi weeks, because of course I do. I actually have 2. One is currently in my wallet, and I use that for tracking my spending and my orders and things like that. It just lives in the wallet. It's almost done, and I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm doing that with this year. I may choose to just put this one straight in there and call it good, because when I'm buying things, typically I'm buying things for my creative pursuits. So this is my creativity planner. It's that dream lace, beautiful hardcover Hobonichi Techo weeks. I have a set of dating stickers to put the days of the week in like English, although I could look at that and go, oh, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, I'm good. But I haven't really moved into this one yet. I have some information to carry over, But what I basically wanted to use this for was to keep track of my stitch counts, my writing, anytime I finish like a felting project or a creative project. If Alina and I decide we want to make cards, like I usually like to have some reference there of which cards we made when. And then, like I said, I have some things to move in. So this is going to be where I list out all of my work in progress, stitch projects, things that I want to start in 2022 as far as stitching goes, and then my Stitch Mania plans. Because if I start now planning out which ones I'm going to do in May, then I'll be better than what I did last year, which was decide everything April 30th at like 11 o'clock at night. So I'm kind of playing with those a little bit, and then I'll have note spaces in the back here for like writing, tracking, and things like that, because I write as a creative outlet, I stitch as a creative outlet, I don't really draw, but I color, you know, things like that. And then Alina and I are working on building her dollhouse again this year once we get finally everything settled and unpacked. So I want to put some progress images in here of that as well on the little weekly layout. And then this is just a nice little cover from Impressions that kind of matched the blue, and I thought that was beautiful. So that is it. I know that seems like a lot. It is a lot, but it works for my brain, and ultimately that's all that matters. And you've got to do what you've got to do. And if that's way too many planners for you to manage and maintain, then don't do that many. If it works for you, that's what's important. Find a system and work with it. So that's my 2022 planner lineup, and I will be back again soon with my notebook journal lineup and then my reference guides, because there are several of my journals that I don't touch every day because they become part of the reference library in my house. So anyway, thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out and watching all the planners go by. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Feel free to email me also in the description box below, all of my social media handles, everything you can find me on the web. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you haven't already, have an amazing day. Bye.